Hello, and welcome back to the Wrestling Rant. I just got done watching the most disgusting ending to Raw I've ever seen in my life. But I suppose we should wait until we actually come to that part. So it's March 17th, 2014, Monday Night Raw from San Antonio, Texas. And before you even ask, no Shawn Michaels at all. Thank God. The show starts with a recap from last week of Daniel Bryan and the Authority and the Yes Movement and the Occupy Raw thing. Whatever. Cutting into the arena, Justin Roberts introduces Triple H, who is in the ring. Again, no Stephanie. Triple H starts talking and he says he has some things to say to Bryan later. And then Batista's music hits and he comes out. And he gets in the ring and starts talking, saying, I can't believe you would give Bryan even a shot to get into the title match with me and Randy. You know, he's pissing and moaning, I don't even have to get beat to lose the match, whatever. And I'm thinking, stupid, you know it hasn't even happened yet, right? It's not a guarantee that he's going to be in the match. Not in kayfabe terms, at least. But anyways, then Randy's music hits, and he comes out, and he says basically the same fucking thing. Can't believe you would do this. And then there's squabbling between Randy and Batista and Triple H. And Randy and Batista are going at not like fighting, but they're like getting in each other's face. And Triple H is trying to get them apart, but they're pushing Triple H out of the way. And then Triple H gets pissed and starts yelling at them, saying, you know what? There is going to be a triple threat match at WrestleMania no matter what. Because if Bryan wins, he's going to be entered into the title match. But if Triple H wins, Triple H will be entered into the title match. So now we have... Oh, God. This is going to be horrible if it goes down like this, folks. After making that announcement, Triple H leaves. Batista's pissed, he's yelling at him, whatever. He turns around and gets RKO'd by Randy. And that's the end of that segment. They hype up John Cena responding to the Wyatts again. Isn't this the third or fourth week in a row he's done this same thing? Yeah, but they hype that up. And then they show a shot from backstage. The Usos are getting ready to come out for a match that they have next against the Real Americans. And then they cut to a commercial break. Coming back from the commercial, we get a recap of what just happened between Triple H and Randy and Batista. And then we cut to another shot of backstage. There's Batista. He's got his street clothes on and he's got his duffel bag and it looks like he's leaving. Renee Young comes up and says, what is your reaction to what just happened? And Batista says, you know what, it was a big mistake coming back. And then he leaves. He leaves the arena. He says, I'm leaving. Cutting back to the arena, the Real Americans are already in the ring. And then the Usos come out, of course. It's time for this match. The match was boring, for the most part, but there was a good finish. We'll get to that. Towards the beginning of the match, we get a "We the People" chant, showing that the Usos really aren't all that over, and the crowd cares more about this "We the People" thing. Highlights of the match include Cesaro doing his catching the guy into the tilt-a-whirl backbreaker thing, commercial break. And then we had, let's see, Swagger gets thrown out of the ring in front of the commentary table, and Cesaro was outside of the ring on the opposite side of the ring. One of the Usos hits the ropes and dives over the top and splashes down on Swagger. And then the other Uso hits the ropes and tries to do the same thing to Cesaro, but Cesaro catches him with a jumping up to the apron European uppercut that just knocks the fuck out of the Uso. He gets laid out. Cesaro jumps in the ring real quick because he was the legal man. And he picks the Uso up. I don't know which one it was, but he was the legal one. He picks him up, cinches him up for the neutralizer, plants him with it, covers the motherfucker, and gets the win. So the Real Americans win, making the tag team champions look like shit by virtue of the fact they just lost to a tag team that hates each other right now. They've been feuding, not feuding, but they have not been able to get along lately. So the Usos were able to beat the middle-aged outlaws, but they can't beat two guys who can't even get along with each other. So, yeah. Whatever, I don't really care. I don't like the Usos anyways, so this doesn't mean shit to me. Oh right, something I forgot to mention during the first segment. While Triple H was... while the squabbling was going on between Batista and Orton and Triple H, or actually I think it was just when Randy was talking, I don't know. But Randy asked for a match, a no DQ match no less, with Daniel Bryan tonight. And Triple H gave it to him. So after the stupid Usos and Real Americans match, they hype up the Randy and Bryan no DQ match. And then they cut to another commercial. Coming back from the commercial, we get a recap from SmackDown of Kane versus Big Show, and the Shield not helping Kane win, and the whole aftermath where Kane tried to chokeslam Rollins but got speared by Reigns. Yeah. That segues into, we cut backstage to see the Shield, just kind of in a back hallway or whatever, and then there's Kane, and he starts talking to them, saying, again, you guys were a asset for the Authority, but we're worried that you may have become a liability and this and that and whatever the fuck. Cutting back to the arena, there's Hornswoggle. Yeah, since it's St. Patrick's Day, the little Irish midget is giving out shit because it's St. Patrick's Day. He's just throwing shit into the crowds. Merchandise, who gives a fuck? And then all of a sudden, Wade Barrett's music hits. And he gets lifted up on his stupid goddamn lifty podium thingy. And he's got some bad news about St. Patrick's Day. And of course, Captain Obvious, all you people are gonna do is get drunk and puke all over yourselves and this and that. No shit, you moron. That's what most people do on St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day. That sounds like Tokies, not Tokies. The one guy from Death Clock. Fuck, I can't remember it. Looks at that douchebags. Anyways. Hey, yeah, looks at that douchebags. That stupid British guy who won't shut the fuck up! Either get your corny ass back in the ring, because honestly, you're a lot less annoying in the ring than you are on the mic. Get this asshole in the ring and let him get his ass kicked by everybody. Shut his mouth. Moving on. Hornswoggle hasn't left the ring yet. Or not the ringside area, whatever. Sheamus's music hits and he comes out. And I think they said that they're getting ready for a... What the fuck did they call it? A St. Patrick's Day Brawl or some shit? I don't know. But he's going against Titus O'Neil. But before we can get that, commercial break. Coming back from the commercial break, Titus is already at the ring. He's not in the ring. He's just at the bottom of the aisleway. And he's wearing this ridiculous St. Patrick's Day green top hat. And he's got this real corny orange goatee beard. And he's claiming that he's Irish just because his last name is O'Neil. Which, by the way, I don't even think that's your real last name. Oh, and by the way, Christian is on commentary. So whatever, Titus ditches his stupid fucking costume shit and we have a crappy match between Sheamus and Titus. And during the match, Christian says from commentary that he's going to be in the Andre Battle Royal at WrestleMania. There's not much to comment on about the match because there wasn't really much to the match. Sheamus beat the piss out of Titus for a couple of minutes until Titus was able to get the upper hand. Titus goes outside the ring and grabs Hornswoggle. Yes, that little shit is still at ringside. Titus grabs Hornswoggle and throws him into the ring, and he's kind of slapping him around, you know, whatever. Titus goes to give him his little standing fall-away slam thing, right? He even did this to Sheamus. But he goes to do it, and Sheamus is right behind him. Sheamus catches Hornswoggle and puts him down. But then he grabs Hornswoggle by the head. As Titus turns around, he battering rams Hornswoggle's head right into Titus's crotch. And I'm thinking, okay, why wasn't that a DQ? He's using a foreign object. Nope, no DQ. Sheamus gets Titus in the ropes and does his stupid clubbing, and then he hits the brogue kick on him and gets the win. So I'm guessing the stupid, flimsy St. Patrick's Day brawl thing was enough to warrant it being no DQ. Whatever. Anyways, after the match, Renee gets in the ring and interviews Sheamus. And Sheamus says he's going to be in the Andre Battle Royal too. And then Sheamus continues celebrating, and Christian from commentary says, you know what, I've had enough of this. He jumps in the ring and starts beating the shit out of Sheamus again. Takes him to the outside, beats him up some more, and then hits the kill switch on him on the floor. So... whatever. After that, there's more hype for the Cena confronting, or not really confronting, but addressing the Wyatts. More hype for that, and they cut to another commercial. Oh yeah, and apparently that was next, because coming out from the commercial, Cena comes out and talks, and he says he's actually afraid of Bray. But he's more afraid of that the people, the WWE Universe might actually be believing what Bray is saying. Yada, yada, yada. Cena says this match with Bray it's about his legacy. So Cena is fighting for his own legacy. And then, of course, we do the Wyatt cut, and the three of those goofs are up on the Titantron, and Bray starts talking. And I also happen to notice that Bray is wearing Cena's gear. He's got on one of Cena's shirts with the arm parts ripped off, of course. And he's got on Cena wristbands. And he even brings that shit up while he's cutting his promo, saying that he could be just like you, John, kissing babies and yada yada, and then I could go home with my plastic girlfriend and sleep in my castle. Referencing Nikki Bella, who's the one with the fake tits, and his giant goddamn house that he owns. Yada yada. Bray finishes his promo. I don't remember the rest of it because nothing else of it was memorable. And then it cuts away, the stupid Wyatt cut. And then that cuts to a half and half split screen thing. You got Daniel Bryan on one half and you got Randy Orton on the other half. They're both coming down separate backstage hallways. Their match is up next, and we cut to a commercial. Coming back from the commercial, Randy's music hits and he comes out, and we get a recap of the RKO that he hit on Batista earlier, and Batista leaving. Now, obviously, bringing attention back to Batista leaving. What happens anytime anybody says they're going to leave? I saw this coming a mile away. Pretty much as soon as Batista left, I called this was going to happen. Because at this point, this shit is so predictable. There are no surprises. But anyways, after the recap, Bryan's music hits and he comes out. So we get the match. Orton and Bryan, no DQ, turned out to be a decent match. There's a Daniel Bryan chant. Bryan wraps Randy's leg around the post and slams it, whatever. Bryan does his suicide dive, and then there was a yes chant, whatever. Let's see. I think what happened was after the suicide dive, Randy was laying over by the ring, and Bryan walked back over to Randy after doing the yes thing, and Randy had, out of nowhere, pulled a kendo stick out from under the ring, and he just nailed Bryan with it. And he started wailing on him some more. We cut to a commercial. When we come back, there's more stick shots. And back outside the ring, Randy gets Bryan up, like a back suplex, going to do that. But then he rams him nuts first into the post. And he leaves him hung there on the post. And he cinches him up for his back and neck breaker thing. And he does that from the post. And Randy starts trolling the crowd. Oh yeah, I think what it was is some idiot in the crowd said, like, ring the bell or something, because, Randy was using weapons and shit. And Randy's like, it's no DQ, there's no bell to ring, you dumb fuck. Not really, whatever. Who gives a fuck? Back in the ring, Bryan does his comeback combo. And he does the corner drop kick, and he gets Randy up, and he does the super Frankensteiner, or the super Hurricane Rana, whatever the fuck. Bryan grabs a hold of the kendo stick, and he's got Randy down on his knees. And so he's going back and forth. Stick shot to the back, and then a kick to the chest. And then a stick shot to the back, and then a kick to the chest. He's going back and forth. And the crowd's going, yes, 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 with every fucking hit. Finally does all of that, and then he rears back and he gets the big roundhouse. Bryan goes up to the top rope but gets caught by Randy, and Randy superplexes him off the top. Randy was going to go for the RKO, but Bryan saw it coming and rolled out of the ring. Right, as Bryan rolled out of the ring, I saw him grab the kendo stick that was laying on the ground over there. Randy goes to get out of the ring after Bryan, and Bryan jumps up and cracks him in the shoulder, nails him with the stick, whatever. He pulls Randy out, throws him up against the corner in the barricade, comes running and hits the big drop kick, which sends Randy over the barricade. They brawl around a bit. Randy grabbed a chair and nailed Bryan with it a couple of times. And then they went back into the ring. And Randy was getting ready to hit Bryan with the chair again. And then, just like I thought, Batista comes in out of nowhere and spears Randy. The spear looked really weak, by the way, but he spears Randy. Bryan jumps up, comes running, drop kicks Batista, which sends Batista out of the ring. And then Bryan covers Randy, who's still down from the spear. Bryan covers Randy. 1, 2, 3. Bryan wins. So Bryan wins with Batista's help. So even though Bryan finally got a win over Randy, he didn't do it by himself. So it still kind of sucks. Bryan celebrates a bit and then he leaves. And then Batista gets back in the ring, gets Randy up, and hits him with the Batista bomb. After that, the commentators go over more shit for the network, and I don't give a fuck. And then they say, Paul Heyman's going to talk next. And they cut to a commercial. Coming back, Roberts introduces Heyman, who comes out onto the stage and starts talking. And he segues into footage, a video package that goes over... basically, the point Heyman wanted to make was that the last couple opponents The Undertaker has had at WrestleMania, these guys took The Undertaker to the limit, and Undertaker just barely beat them. But Brock has faced all of those people that Undertaker faced in the last few years, and he's supposedly dominated them, conquered them, in which, not really, to be honest. But the video package shows footage of Mark Henry and Undertaker, Triple H and Undertaker, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, conveniently skips over CM Punk and Undertaker because, of course, they're basically trying to bury him. Fucking idiots. And Vince is trying to talk CM Punk into coming back. Well, I got news for you, dumbass. You keep leaving him out of this stuff, conveniently skipping over him, not mentioning him at all on the show. It's no wonder he doesn't want to come back. You're already giving him the Chris Benoit treatment, and it's despicable. But whatever. But yeah, there's the footage from the Undertaker versus all those people matches, and then it shows Brock beating the holy shit out of Henry, putting him through the announce table with the F5, beating up Triple H, beating up Shawn Michaels. And after the video package, Heyman says, at WrestleMania, The Undertaker's streak will rest in peace. And that was basically it. We cut backstage to the office where Triple H and Stephanie are talking. Right. And Stephanie's like, you have these things to say to Bryan later, what the fuck, and all this shit. And I had this written down about Stephanie's line. Triple H said something, I'm gonna go out there and talk to Bryan like a man. And Stephanie says, what, like a man? Like I don't know what that's like? She said something like that, and I'm thinking, bitch, are you actually insinuating that you used to have a penis? Because that's just too fucking rich. I don't know. I don't know if she fucked up that line, or I don't know what the fuck, but I found that hilarious. Anyways, they get done bitching at each other, and it's all just a big tease, because we'll find out later. Cutting back to the arena, Fandango comes out with Summer Rae. And they don't even get to finish their entrance, because we cut to a commercial. Coming back from the commercial, Fandango and Summer actually do finish their entrance, complete with the Burning Man thing up in the rafters. And then Goldust's music hits. Yeah, just Goldust, not the Cody Goldust mashup, just Goldust. But Goldust comes out with Cody, and they're dancing with each other up on the stage, which of course pisses off Johnny. Whatever. We get a match. Oh yeah, the match starts off with this what the fuck shit. Like, Goldust is like disco dancing, making fun of Johnny, and Johnny's pissed off, and what ends up happening, Summer gets up on the apron to try to distract Goldust. And Goldust goes over and he does his little ha thing, and he breathes on her, and she falls off the apron. Cody came around back, and he catches Summer. I don't know why. After a while, he finally lets her down and twirls her away, which pissed her off for some reason. But the finish of the match comes. Johnny does like a suplex. It was supposed to be the Falcon Arrow, I'm guessing, but it looked really botched. He slammed him down. He goes up to the top rope to go for the leg drop, but Goldust rolls out of the way. Gets up, grabs Johnny, hits the curtain call on him, and gets the win. So Goldust wins. It was a decent match, really goofy as fuck though. And they noted that Goldust was bleeding from the forehead right to the side of one of his eyes. It wasn't bad from the looks of it. We cut backstage, and there's Kane. He's getting ready to come out for something. That's up next, and we cut to a commercial. Coming back, they say that in another rare appearance, The Undertaker is going to appear on Main Event tomorrow night. The first time ever he's going to be on Main Event. Cutting back into the arena, Kane's music hits and the pyro blows up and he comes out. And he starts talking. And I don't remember exactly what he says, but he starts talking to Jerry Lawler about, this man used his connections to allow Daniel Bryan to have these members of the audience come in, and the Yes Movement and the Occupy Raw thing. He's accusing Lawler of having the security stand down and all that shit, since it was in Memphis, his hometown. And so he says, yeah, we gotta do this, and the Shield music hits. And the three of them come out, through the crowd, of course, like they always do. They get over the barricade, and they go over towards King. And they grab him up out of his chair, and they escort him over, and they have him get in the ring. And then Kane starts talking again, saying, this is best for business, and something or other. And then Seth has a mic, and he starts talking and says, I don't remember exactly what he says. He says, we always do what's best for business. And then something about that, and then he puts down the mic. And they're standing there looking at Jerry for a minute, and then the three members of the Shield, they turn around and face Kane. And of course the crowd's like, oh yeah. Yeah. Jerry gets the fuck out of the ring, because he's like, they're not looking at me, I need to run. He gets out of the fucking ring, he goes back over on commentary. And so, of course, what do you think's gonna happen? The Shield turns on Kane. They start to beat the shit out of him. They beat him down. Kane kind of tries to fight back, but they don't really get anything. Let's see, Kane tried to choke slam Rollins again. Ambrose came running and just kind of broke through Kane's arm to break up the spear. He didn't spear him or anything like Reigns did, but he just kind of breaks through his arm to stop the choke slam. And they start beating him down. Reigns actually does spear Kane. And then they pick Kane up, and they get him up on Roman's shoulders, and they hit the big triple bomb, the Fall of Justice. I'm going to keep calling it that, by the way. So they hit the Fall of Justice on him, and I don't know if this is an official face turn for the Shield, or if they're gonna be like tweeners now. I wouldn't mind them being faces. In fact, I'd actually like it. Because I like the Shield. I have liked them ever since they came in, okay? They come in beating the fuck out of that piece of shit Ryback, okay? And Cena. So, great way to start. I loved that. And ever since then, it's been pretty good, aside from siding with the Authority and all this other shit. But yeah, I like Ambrose. I like Rollins. I'm starting to like Reigns as well. I like the Shield. I don't want them to split up anytime soon. You know? But anyways, that's the end of the segment there. We get hype for the Triple H and Bryan face-to-face, man-to-man talk that's going to be later on. And they cut to a commercial. Coming back from the commercial, we get a recap of what just happened. Kane getting his ass kicked by the Shield. And the Bellas music is playing. And I'm like, oh god, not another match with those two twits. No. They're on commentary, and I'm like, oh god, it's even worse. I don't want to hear these sluts talk. The Funkadactyls music hits, and I'm fucking, no more garbage! Ah! Yeah, the Funkadactyls come out. And I happen to notice that Naomi's wearing an eye patch. It's clear, you know, because of getting busted in the face by Alicia Fox. Or, no, it was Oksana. Who cares? She's wearing an eye patch, and it's clear, so obviously she can see out of it. But it's got, like, jewels and shit on it, so she bedazzled a fucking clear plastic eye patch. Don't know what the fuck that was about. AJ's music hits. She comes out with Tamina. And what we proceed to get is another awful Divas match. I wrote down, we get more of Naomi's awful offense. Her drop kicks that hardly connect, her terrible moves. She gets AJ down in the corner, and she does the split-legged moonsault on AJ. And she gets the win. So the Funkadactyls win. Tamina had been taken out before this happened, so, you know, whatever. The crowd was dead after the match, by the way. AJ's mad at Tamina. Tamina finally gets back in the ring after the match, and she tries to help AJ up, and AJ's like, no, and she's mad at her, and she's yelling at her, like, every time I need you, and you're not there. And, you know, I think she shoved Tamina, and then Tamina shoved her back, and this put AJ on her ass. And AJ got that look on her face, that sexy look on her face. She's done this before. She gets into, like, feuds with other girls, and she gets this look on her face. I don't know. But either way, this looks like a face turn for Tamina. And I'm noticing that there's hardly any heel divas. You've got AJ now, of course, she's still the heel. And what, Alicia Fox and Oksana are like the only two heels. Maybe if you count Rosa Mendez, but she's hardly ever there. So, can you really count her? All the other divas are supposedly face. The Bellas, the Funkadactyls. Okay, Summer's not really a face. But you got the Bellas, you got the Funkadactyls. Eva Marie and JoJo. Eva Marie can't be face. I don't know how in the fuck they could even think that. But she's face by virtue of being one of the Total Divas. Ugh. And Natalya is also a face as well. Jesus. It's stupid. If Tamina's going to turn face, somebody needs to turn heel. Eva Marie pretty much is a heel. Not that I would want her on AJ's side, but stop having her help the fucking face divas. I don't know, just something. And bring up Paige. God, I wouldn't mind her as a heel, but like, Jesus Christ. Anyways, moving on before I puke. They say that they're going to, they're going to talk about the next Hall of Fame inductee, and it's basically because TMZ spoiled it or something. But they're going to do that next, and they go to a commercial break. And when they come back, they actually do the reveal of the next Hall of Fame inductee, and it's Mr. T. And his only real reason for being in the Hall of Fame is he was part of I believe it was the main event of the very first WrestleMania. For those of you who don't know, Mr. T teamed with Hulk Hogan to go against Roddy Piper, and I believe it was Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, I think? I can't remember. But it was Mr. T and Hogan versus Roddy Piper and somebody. But either way, that's basically his only reason for being inducted into the Hall of Fame. He didn't really do shit else. So of course he's going into the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame, and why they even bothered to put in a celebrity wing makes no sense, but whatever, I don't give a fuck. After that, we get a recap from last week of Hogan announcing the Andre Battle Royal. Like we needed to be reminded. They won't shut up about it. Everybody and their brother is announcing, I'm going to be in the Battle Royal, I'm going to be in the Battle Royal, I'm going to win that trophy. And I found out I was kind of wrong last week when I said the trophy that they're giving out, it's not just a bust of Andre, like a little bit of the chest and his head and shit. No, it's a full-on statue of Andre. Now, of course, it's not 1-to-1 scale, but it's a full statue from the feet all the way up to the head. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Cutting back to the ring, there's a bunch of people already in the ring, a bunch of dudes, and then the Big Show's music hits, and he comes out. And while he's coming out, we get a picture-in-a-picture promo of Big Show saying that he's going to be in the Battle Royal, of course, considering he's the only one who should really carry on the legacy of Andre, because people have always compared Big Show to Andre. Anyways, so what we get is a big 8-man tag team match. The Big Show, Mark Henry, Big E, and Dolph Ziggler versus Ryback and Curtis Axel, Damian Sandow, and Alberto Del Rio. There wasn't a whole lot to comment on for this match. There was a commercial break, there was a Let's Go Ziggler chant. The match fucking falls into a clusterfuck. Everybody's coming in, like, hitting the finisher on somebody and throwing them out of the ring, and then whatever the fuck, yada yada yada. It ends up down to the two legal men, Big Show and Sandow. Big Show chokeslams Sandow and gets the win. So, Big Show, Mark Henry, Big E, and Ziggler win. It was a decent enough match. The clusterfuck at the end was kind of interesting to see. Ziggler got thrown, I think he got slingshotted into the corner, supposedly banged his head on the post and fell all the way out of the fucking ring. And this was after Ziggler gave the famouser to Del Rio and threw him out of the ring. Everybody was getting thrown out of the ring. And then Big Show chokeslammed Sandow for the win, whatever. Anyways, match was decent. Moving on, we get a recap of the Bryan and Orton match from earlier, and of course Batista's interference. Cutting back to about the same hallway that we saw him in earlier, there's Batista again. And Renee comes up to him again and says, being that you're clearly still here, I'm guessing you didn't quit, because it kind of sounded like he was quitting earlier when he left. And Batista says, I've never quit anything in my life. aside from 4 years ago when he came out in a wheelchair on Raw and quit. Yeah, this was when he left the WWE 4 years ago. He came out and said, "I quit." So yeah, you never quit, huh? Fuck you. But he says, regardless, he's going to do what he came to do. He's going to win the title at WrestleMania, deal with it, and he leaves again. Leaves the arena. Don't care. We get some hype for Bray Wyatt is going to be in action next. And we cut to a commercial. No, it didn't bother saying who his jobber opponent was going to be. But who was it last time? Anyways, after the commercial break, they say that not only will The Undertaker be appearing on Main Event tomorrow, but also we're going to have John Cena versus Luke Harper for SmackDown this Friday. Whatever. Cutting back to the ring, we finally find out who Bray's jobber opponent is going to be. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's the same guy he faced the last time he was actually in action on Raw, and that's Kofi Kingston. He's in the ring, and then the Wyatt music hits, and they start coming out with a cheap pop. I should have mentioned this last time. I think it's been the last couple of weeks in a row. The Wyatts have been doing, like, custom... the intro thing. Like, you know how their intro goes? Bray lights the lantern and then he goes, "We're here," and he blows it out. But for the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's been, he lights the lantern and then he says the name of the city they're in. Last week it was Memphis, and I think the week before that was when they were in Chicago and he said, "Chicago, we're here," But he's been doing that with the cheap pop. Like, he'll say the name of the city and then he'll say, "We're here." So this week he goes, "San Antonio, we're here," and he blows it out. And I'm thinking, that's the only reason this motherfucker's getting cheered, is because he's using Mick Foley's cheap pop. And I don't know why he's getting cheered. He's a heel. Boo the guy. It's the smarks in the crowd, the dudes who hate Cena. Whatever. But let's see, we hardly get to see any of the Wyatts' entrance because it's so long and boring. They figured, no, instead, let's show you the video package for the feud between Cena and Bray, and they're probably going to show this again at WrestleMania. They show this video package, and there's an Eminem song playing over it. And I'm like, okay. And apparently it's Eminem's song called Legacy. But yeah, when the video package ends, Bray and Harper and Rowan are all standing in the ring. Bray tells them to get the fuck out, and we get the match. And of course, it's basically just a squash, and it bored me to death. The only noteworthy things is Bray got Kofi up. I'm trying to explain or remember exactly what happened here. He hits Kofi with, like, not really a tilt-a-whirl, but it was kind of like that, where he kind of spins him around. But then he goes and has him come down face first, and I thought he was going to plant him face first into the mat, but no, he gets his knee out, rib breakers Kofi. Can't remember exactly what it was. But either way, he hits that, he does his stupid backbend pose in the corner, and then he cinches Kofi up with the Sister Abigail, and he hits it, and Kofi oversold it. He came down face. He basically RVD sold it, where he comes down on his face and then flips over onto his back. Does like a headstand, basically, and flips over. But yeah, Sister Abigail, Bray gets the win. The crowd was dead after the match, again, by the way. And they do the cutaway gag again. And then we get more hype for the Bryan and Triple H face-to-face, man-to-man talk, which is next. And they cut to commercial. Coming back, they also happen to mention that next week on Raw, we're going to have another guest host. And it's going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger with, I believe, with one of his co-stars from the new movie that Arnold's in. I don't even remember the name of it. Who cares? King of Kings hits and Triple H comes out and he asks Bryan to come out. And Bryan comes out. Triple H starts talking and he's saying that he's going to do what's best for business. And he doesn't have a choice because Bryan's basically forced this on him, whatever the fuck. And Triple H says, you know what? This isn't personal. This is not personal. And there's no hard feelings. And he puts his hand out to Bryan for a handshake. Bryan don't want to shake his hand. And Triple H is like, you know what? Okay, fair enough. And then he says, you know what? I've dumped a ton of crap on you over the last few months since SummerSlam and yada yada. And he's still here. He's like putting over Bryan, basically. And I'm thinking, okay, this is weird. Triple H wouldn't do this. And, right. Triple H said, you know, all the crap that I dumped on you, and you stayed, and you didn't, you know, a lesser man would have taken his ball and gone home. And, of course, there's a CM Punk chant from the crowd after that, because, hate to say it, but that's basically what Punk did. And again, Vince is trying to talk Punk into coming back. And yet Triple H on the show is doing everything in his power to piss Punk off to probably keep him gone. Because there's been backstage reports that while Vince wants Punk to come back, Triple H pretty much doesn't. But anyways, continuing on with the segment, Triple H says, you know, after all the crap that I dumped on you and you're still here, you know what? You've earned my respect. And then all of a sudden I hear Stephanie's shrill voice coming out from the stage. And she's bitching and she's like, he's earned your respect? What are you talking about? And this and that. And she's on the stage and she says, you know what? What he did last week was illegal. He put the fans in danger. All this other shit. And she is formally pressing charges against Bryan. And she orders a group of cops to go down there and arrest Bryan. And the cops go down to the ring, and Triple H gets out of the ring, and he starts talking with Steph, and they're like down on the ramp now. But yeah, whatever the fuck. Bryan's standing there in the ring, surrounded by the cops, and it's looking like he's going to fight him off, but then he doesn't, and he's just kind of like, whoa, 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 and he kind of sticks his arm out. One of the cops grabs him by the arm and cuffs him, and like the whole group just swarms him, and they start kind of hitting him with the nightsticks, and they cuff him and all this shit. And they're kind of being really hard on him. And Triple H comes back, he's like, no, enough, this ain't what I want, yada yada, whatever the fuck. He gets in the ring, and he tells the cops to stop, and he says, you know what, this is enough, you know, whatever. And he says, besides, you're not even real cops. And the cops leave the ring, but Bryan's still handcuffed. And Triple H says, yeah, they're not real cops, and I want to enjoy this. He starts attacking Bryan while he's handcuffed. And he beats the fucking shit out of Bryan for way too goddamn long. This is what I was talking about when I said this was the most disgusting thing I've seen on Raw in my life. He beats the hell out of him, punches and kicks, and throws him to the outside, throws him into the ring steps. Bryan tries to fight back even though he's handcuffed. He tries to kick him, and he headbutts him a couple of times, but Triple H keeps beating him down. And the crowd, there's people in the crowd yelling, you know, you're a pussy, you gotta have him handcuffed, They're saying this is enough, whatever. This was just disgusting. And all the while, Stephanie's down there going, yes, yes, trolling and telling him to keep beating Bryan's ass and all this shit. Bryan tries to fight back again, but still no good. More trolling from Triple H and Stephanie both. And then Triple H holds Bryan back. And Stephanie comes over and slaps Bryan in the face like twice. And Bryan's like, you hit like a girl! So even though he's had his ass kicked, he's still got enough balls left in him. You hit like a girl, you little bitch. What ends up happening, Triple H gets Bryan up into the ring. Bryan's legs are going into the ring, but his head, they're in the corner of the ring. Bryan's head is up against the post. And he's laying back, into the ring. Triple H grabs a chair, and he whacks Bryan's head with the chair into the post. Which is pretty fucked up, because it's basically an unprotected chair shot to the head. Which are supposed to be banned, by the way. And Triple H gets in the ring and he starts, he pulls off his shirt and all this shit. By the way, Bryan's shirt that he was wearing got ripped up during this whole thing. It's barely hanging on to him. Stephanie gets in Bryan's face and she says, this is what you get, you deserve this, whatever the fuck. Triple H grabs Bryan by the leg, drags him into the center of the ring, picks him up, cinches him up for the pedigree, and he plants him with it. And he rolls him over so he's face up and they're, still trolling, whatever. Triple H grabs the mic. He says, this is our ring, and it's our house, and there is no more yes movement. This is over at WrestleMania. And that's where the show finally ends. 17 or 18 minutes past the fucking hour. Massive overrun territory. Like I said, people in the crowd during this part were like, that's enough. Telling Triple H he's a pussy for having to have him handcuffed, all this shit. And he is. Triple H's character throughout the years has always been a fucking chicken shit coward. He handcuffs people. And he beats them up while they're defenseless. And he kisses Shawn Michaels' ass to get to where he was in the first place. Triple H is one of the biggest scumbags in pro wrestling history, in the history of the WWE. The entire McMahon family. This is disgraceful. And with Triple H announcing that if he beats Bryan at WrestleMania, he will be in the triple threat match, or the title match with Randy and Batista. So help me God, if Triple H wins the title at WrestleMania, I'm not even going to bother watching Raw or SmackDown the week after WrestleMania. If Triple H wins that title, I will stop watching the WWE. I will not put up with his ass as champion again. I put up with that enough in the fucking Attitude Era. I'm not putting up with it ever again. I will stop watching the WWE until I hear that he either gives up the belt, because that's probably what he would do because he has such a huge ego, or until somebody actually beats him for the title. But I really doubt that's going to happen. As I said before, the big blow-off, or the big payoff coming for Bryan is that he should beat Triple H, and then he should win the title as well. So help me God, that had fucking better happen. That will be the only hope for that show. Because otherwise, there's no hope of me continuing this show. If Bryan can win the title at WrestleMania, I'll at least have some sliver of hope. And I will do as I said, I will watch Raw and SmackDown the week following WrestleMania. And I will gauge based on what happens then whether or not the show will continue. But if Triple H wins the title, or if Bryan doesn't win the title, there won't be any hope. There doesn't seem to be any hope for this company left. Triple H is still taking a shit all over everything. And once again, I am surprised that people in the crowd did not start leaving. This is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in the WWE, and people didn't leave. I would have left. I would have left and demanded my money back. Because that is disgusting. Nobody came to help Bryan. The commentators didn't do anything. Even JBL, who's been sucking up to the authority for so long, even he had to admit this was maybe taking it a step too far. When you have that corporate suck-up admitting that you've gone too far, you've gone too fucking far. Because all JBL did during this whole show was suck the authority's cock. It's another reason why I hate his commentary. He is a corporate suck-up. I have always hated the JBL character. But yeah, this episode of Raw was a fucking disaster. It was that bad. And it's mainly just because of the ending. You can say what you want about the segment at the end just being another, how many fucking times has Daniel Bryan had his ass kicked at the end of a show? They did that shit to death with The Shield and Randy 3-4 months ago. During that whole thing. While Cena was gone. And now we're going to have it happen again. And The Shield, who I'm going to guess was basically a face turn earlier, beating up Kane, where were they? Why didn't they help Bryan? You could have had them come out and help Bryan. You could have had Big Show come out and help Bryan. Big Show, Ziggler, The Miz. All of these people who have been complaining about the authority over the last few months. I really fucking hate this show. I really do. And I'm so tired of wasting my time. Again, I have to keep saying that, because it is. This is a waste of my time. I could be playing a video game and I'd be doing something more entertaining than watching 3 hours of this boring shit. Terrible Divas matches. Terrible regular matches. They only had a couple of decent matches. There was no good matches. And then Bryan just gets the hell beat out of him by Triple H. And they continue to essentially bury CM Punk, who, by the way, nice way to be grateful to the guy who gave your shithole company the biggest publicity it's had in years. Good job, you fucking morons. How absolutely two-faced are you? Really getting tired of this crap. But anyways, as always, let's go over the matches. The Real Americans defeat the Usos in a boring match with a good finish. I suppose it was a decent match. Sheamus defeated Titus. That big goof with 2 left feet. And no fucking talent or charisma. Yeah, Titus O'Neil. Sheamus defeated Titus O'Neil in a crappy match. Daniel Bryan defeats Randy Orton in a no DQ match with Batista's help. Goldust defeats Fandango in a decent match. The Funkadactyls defeat AJ and Tamina in an awful match. The Big Show, Mark Henry, Big E, and Dolph Ziggler defeat Ryback, Sandow, and Del Rio in a decent 8-man tag match. And then in the main event, the last match of the show, Bray Wyatt defeats Kofi Kingston in a boring squash match. And then we end with just a completely disgusting beat down on Daniel Bryan. Yeah. After that, Daniel Bryan had better fucking win the title at WrestleMania. Because after that, if they're going to go and do that whole thing, that whole disgusting beatdown, only for Bryan to lose, that would just be absolutely shameful. And also would be horrible booking and writing on the part of the creative department. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm sick to death of wasting my time with this shit. That was Raw, March 17th, 2014, San Antonio, Texas. The show was fucking balls. I'm gonna go do something else. Thank you for joining us tonight. Join us next time for SmackDown spoilers. We will see you then.